Mangwanani Mwalelepo Vanave Africa. Welcome to this show that keeps you abreast with the latest happenings across the continent. My name is Aina Raizakaya alongside Diana Master. Top of the morning, Michael. How are you?
Top of the morning to you, my darling. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you.
You look gorgeous in red.
Thank you. I did not try today. Effortless.
Oh, wow. I love that for you. Now let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. SARS finds no record that $580,000 paid to Ramaphosa farm was declared by Buffalo buyer. Bangladesh investigates a huge fire at world's largest refugee camp. China says defense budget set to increase 7.2% in 2023. We're also going to be crossing over to Zambia to speak to Mr. Mike Sichula to give us the latest on the ground. Stick around, top news coming up after this.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
In the news this morning, SARS finds no record that $580,000 paid to Ramaphosa farm was declared by Buffalo buyer. South African tax authorities were not able to find any record that Hazim Mustafa, the Sudanese businessman who paid $580,000 in cash to President Cyril Ramaphosa's Falafala farm, declared the cash he brought into the country in December 2019. DA leader John Steenhuisen filed a promotion of Access to Information Act request with the South African Revenue Service in December 2022. Steenhuisen asked for a copy of the declaration form after Mustafa produced a document that he showed journalists in an interview with Sky News, but would not hand it over. On the 5th of March, SARS responded to Steenhuisen, stating that the tax service was satisfied that after it had taken reasonable steps to find the record, it concluded that the record either did not exist or could not be found. In terms of the PAIA, SARS also in this case, legal specialist, corporate legal services Siyabonga Kadibe, who had searched for the records. Now, Mustafa claimed the document was a copy of a declaration he completed upon landing at the OR Tambo International Airport.
Now getting into our next story, Bangladesh investigates a huge fire at world's largest refugee camp. Bangladesh authorities are investigating the cause of a massive fire in Rohingya refugee camp, which has left 12,000 people without shelter. No casualties have been reported, but the fire on Sunday razed 2,000 shelters after spreading quickly through gas cylinders in kitchens, officials said. Police are investigating if the fire was an act of sabotage. One man has been detained, local media reported. The camp in the southeast is believed to be the world's largest refugee camp. Most of its residents, Rohingya refugees, had fled persecution in neighboring Myanmar. On Monday, hundreds had returned to the Cox's Bazar area to see what they could salvage from the ruins. The blaze had started at about 2:45 p.m. local time on Sunday and quickly tore through the bamboo and tarpaulin shelters, an official said. Some 2,000 shelters have been burnt, leaving about 12,000 forcibly displaced. Myanmar nationals shelterless. Mijanur Rahman, Bangladesh's refugee commissioner, told AFP news agency. The blaze was brought under control within 3 hours, but at least 35 mosques and 21 learning centers for the refugees were also destroyed, he added.
Now in our next story, China says defense budget to increase to 7.2% in 2023. China on Sunday said it would raise its defense spending by 2.7% in 2023 compared with 7.1% last year, as its outgoing premier warned of growing external threats to Beijing's rise. The country will spend 1.55 trillion yuan on defense this year, according to a report by the Ministry of of Finance published on the opening day of the annual session of the country's rubber-stamp parliament. The increase is a shade higher than last year and broadly in line with the general pace of annual growth, but exceeds the annual GDP growth target of around 5% announced in a separate report. Beijing's military budget is the second largest in the world after the United States, and last year stood at 1.45 trillion won, though many overseas analysts says much more money is spent than the officially announced sum. China's defense spending still piles in comparison with the United States, which has allotted over $800 billion for its military this year. Beijing's funneled billions of dollars into modernizing defense in recent years, aiming to transform its huge military into a world-class force.
Now, Tshisekedi calls upon France to sanction Rwanda over M23 violence. A clash between the visiting French President Emmanuel Macron and his DR Congo counterpart Felix Tshisekedi played out on Sunday when the two heads of state were having a joint press conference in Kinshasa. The former French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian in 2019 had termed the election of President Tshisekedi as controversial and as an African-style compromised poll. Tshisekedi nevertheless called for an equal partnership between the two states, as he also called upon France to sanction its neighboring Rwanda over the ongoing violent crisis on its eastern region of Goma. I remain doubtful of the good faith of those who attacked us. There was no reason, I recalled, that justified this aggression, except for economic reasons specific to Rwanda, the instigator of this aggression. Now the question is to know, can Rwanda do without the systematic plundering of the DRC, which dates back some 20 years ago? And if this is not the case, it is there that I will verify the words and commitments of President Macron in relation to the sanctions to be taken against Rwanda, said Felix Tshisekedi, Congolese president. Macron, on the other hand, had called upon the DR Congo's government to take responsibility over the violence that has cascaded through the region for years, since 1994, and it is not France's fault. I'm sorry to say it in such blunt terms. You have not been able to restore the sovereignty, neither military nor security nor administrative, of your country. This is also a reality. We must not look for culprits outside this affair, Emmanuel Macron, French president, said.
Now in our next story, Burundi arrested 24 in anti-gay crackdown. 24 people have been arrested in Burundi as part of a security crackdown on homosexual practices, a judicial source and an activist told AFP on Friday. The arrest took place on February 23 in the political capital Gitega, where members of Muko Burundi, a non-profit organization that focuses on HIV and AIDS, were attending a seminar. An activist told AFP on condition of anonymity, citing fear of reprisals. They are accused of homosexual practices and of inciting homosexual practices among adolescents, boys and girls to whom they give money, the activist said, calling the claims absurd and baseless. There is not a shred of evidence for the serious accusations. The governor of Gitega province, Venant Maribona, confirmed the arrest to AFP but refused to elaborate further.
And now bringing us to the end of our top stories, Tunisian president rejects racism accusation after migrant crackdown. Tunisia's president denounced racism on Sunday and pointed to possible legal consequences for perpetrators 10 days after announcing a crackdown on illegal migration using language the African Union condemned as racialized hate speech. During a statement on February 21 telling security forces to expel all illegal immigrants, President Kais Saied called migration a conspiracy to change Tunisia's demographics by making it more African and less Arab. Police detained hundreds of migrants, landlords summarily evicted hundreds from their homes, and hundreds of others were fired from work, rights groups say. Many migrants said they had been attacked, including being pelted with stones by gangs of youths in their neighborhoods, and rights groups said police had been slow to respond to such assaults. While Saied denied racism in a statement on February 23rd, he repeated his view of immigration as a demographic plot. Before Sunday, Saied had not publicly warned of any legal consequences for the attacks. In Sunday's statement, he described the accusations of racism as a campaign against the country from known sources without elaborating.
Did you know that there were tablets to enlarge women's hips? This bizarre news with Master Mike Sichula after the break. Stay with us.
region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irongotalk@synergy.com.na. Irongo Talk, our community, your news.
Now, before we cross on over to Zambia, let's take a look at the weather forecast.
Master Situla, it's always good to hear from you, and I'm so excited for you to bring us the news from Zambia. Let's start with these problematic tablets that are, enlarging women's hips and also getting people arrested. Master Situla. Well, it seems that Master Situla is not yet available. I think we should cross to the break and then we'll come back. Yeah.
Economic news.
All right, Master Situla, can you hear us?
All right, let's try that again. We seem to be having troubles hearing you, Mr. Situla. Good morning, Mr. Situla. All right, let's cut to a quick commercial break and try again with Mr. Situla. But first, let's get into our economic news.
The Evening Review is a daily interview-based talk show that dissects and expounds on current affairs as they occur in Namibia. The show aims at reaching Namibians of all age groups who seek better understanding of the state of current affairs in the country. This show is broadcasted on NTV, 1up2.com and cross-shared on the following Facebook platforms: Namibian Sun.
In our economic news this morning, fishing banned as Philippine oil spill spreads. Thousands of fishermen in the Philippines have been ordered to stay ashore as authorities struggle Friday to contain an oil spill from the sunken tanker that is threatening the region's rich marine life and economy. The slick of Mindoro Island, south of the capital Manila, stretched for 120 kilometers, was about 9 kilometers offshore, said Ramaphosa, disaster operation chief in the affected province of Mindoro Oriental. The Philippine Coast Guard is still looking for the Princess Empress, which had engine trouble and sank in a rough sea of Naujana municipality on Tuesday. It was carrying 800,000 liters of industrial fuel oil, Batam province near Manila, to the central province of Iloilo.
Now moving over, South African miner ARM's profit up 40% on higher coal manganese prices. South Africa's African Rainbow Minerals on Monday reported a 40% jump in its half-year profit as higher coal and manganese prices offset the impact of cost pressures and rail logistics problems. ARM's headline earnings per share, the main profit measure in South Africa, came in at 26.38 Rand in the 6 months ended December 31, up from 18.87 Rand in the year-ago period. The diversified miner, which has gold, platinum group metal, iron ore, coal and manganese assets, said its coal division's headline earnings rose by 300% as higher thermal coal prices eclipsed the impact of poor rail performance on export volumes.
Let's have a look at our economic indicators.
Hopefully the sound. They say the third time is a charm, so we're going to try again to connect to Mr. Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mr. Sichula.
Good morning. How are you doing?
We are doing well, and I have to say it's good to hear from you. Now let's get into this first interesting story of yours. 2 people have been arrested for selling medicinal tablets which claim they are for enlarging women's hips. Mr. Sichula, as briefly as you can, please.
Yes, this case is one of the latest that has happened in Zambia, where 2 people have been arrested in Kitwe on the Copperbelt province for selling medicinal tablets which they claim are for enlarging women's hips. So Margaret Mutambo, aged 18, and Betha Mono, aged 18, were picked up at Sokone Market during a Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority operation. So according to the authority senior public relations officer, Lodovic Mwape, saying the suspects have been advertising their products to members of the public using social media platforms. So Mr. Mwape also says 3 people have been apprehended for operating illegal pharmacies in Lusaka's Tendere compound. So this case is coming at a time when 3 weeks ago, a polygamous man of Southern Province bought a body cleanser which he gave to his 3 wives. Then, unfortunately, 2 of his wives died because it's like they took an overdose of this body cleanser. So the issue of selling medicines on the streets is quite rampant in Zambia. It is one of the booming industries, and authorities are cramping in to ensure that lives of people are protected. Like these tablets, which they claim to be enlarging hips, there is no scientific evidence that has been ascertained by authority to show to it that this drug can actually work, as the people who are selling are claiming that they can work.
All right, now, Master Sichula, we understand that the police in Lusaka are investigating a case where scores of people held a march demanding the legalization of homosexuality, which is obviously against the Zambian law. Please tell us about this.
Yes, a group calling itself the Sister Foundation Zambia applied for a permit to hold a march past within Lusaka to raise awareness against women and girls' sexual abuse. However, during the march on 22nd February, it suddenly, the march changed to become a homosexuality parade, which actually raised a lot of concern amongst members of the public. And the government has also commented on this matter, because according to the Sister Foundation Zambia, the permits that they were granted, they were supposed to raise awareness about sexual and gender-based violence, and not what they started to promote during their march past. So police have summoned the organizers, the conveners of this meeting, the conveners of this march past, and also the Ministry of Information has condemned and is calling for action against anyone who is going to promote homosexuality in Zambia.
All right, now moving on, the Zambia Revenue Authority has taken control of operations at the Kasumbalesa border post following the expiry of a concession agreement with a private company. Could you please briefly tell us about this?
Well, this border post, which borders Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo, was run by James Ndambo, a billionaire who had a lot of businesses in Zambia as well as Namibia. But since the coming in of the new administration, he has fallen out of favor, and as such, the Zambia Revenue Authority has taken over the management of the vehicle traffic management system at the Kasumbalesa border post, and everything, and government is hoping that they are going to find a new partner that is going to take over operations of the border post at Kasumbalesa as well as Welby's Bay in Namibia.
All right, and finally, we understand that the United Kingdom has assured President Hakainde Hichilema of the UK's commitment to supporting Zambia's debt negotiation. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, UK Minister of State for Development and Africa, Andrew Mistos, has assured President Hakainde Hichilema of the UK's commitment to supporting Zambia's debt negotiations under the common framework. He commended Zambia for being a strong voice for democracy in the region. He has also emphasized that the UK government will continue investing in Zambia through the Development Finance Institute. He was speaking when President Hakainde Hichilema on the sidelines of the ongoing 4th United Nations Conference of Least Developed Nations in Qatar, where President Hakainde Hichilema has been for the last few days. So it is one of those issues that Zambia tries to seek to dismantle the debt of over 33.3 billion United States dollars.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sijula, for keeping us up to speed with all the latest happenings in Zambia.
Thank you, Africa. Good morning.
All right, so today is Tuesday, the 7th of March, which means the jokes of Manchester United losing 7-0 against Liverpool are still going on. But here to bring us the latest in the sports news, Ari Hohan.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with golf news first. It is Kurt Kitayama of the USA. He moved up 27 positions on the world rankings, the new world rankings that came out after the weekend, and that was after winning the Arnold Palmer Invitational Golf Tournament on the PGA. Most of the top world ranked players played in that tournament, and it was Kitayama that won by one shot. He came in with a final or total of -9 for the 4 rounds, and just behind him was Rory McIlroy, the world number 3 on 8 under par. Also Harris English of the USA also on 8 under par. So it is now Kurt Kitayama that is now number 19 in the world. He was number 46 before the start of the tournament. Still, world number 1 after the tournament is John Rahm of Spain. He continues to be world number 1. Scotty Scheffler remains in number 2 in the world. He finished also on -7, just 2 shots behind the leader or the winner of the Arnold Palmer Invitational, and it is Rory McIlroy still in number 3. Southern African interest, the best placed golfer in Southern Africa is Dean Burmeister. He's number 69 in the world, and he's also playing now on the Live Golf Initiative, so his world ranking will probably go down quite a bit. And then also Louis Oosthuizen, he is number 90 in the world. He used to be constantly in the top 50 in the world, but also playing in the Live Golf Initiative. Moving on to rugby news, and it is the World Sevens that was concluded in Vancouver in Canada, and the news from the tournament is that Argentina moves up to number 2nd on that points list. It is still New Zealand with 120 points that lead, but it is Argentina after winning the tournament, and they now 108 points. They're in 2nd position on the points table. It is Argentina that beat France in the final by 33 points to 21. South Africa not having a great tournament, and they finished in 13th position. That was after beating Japan for the place of in a playoff for 13th position.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. If you're just joining us, let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast. SARS finds no record that $580,000 paid to Ramaphosa farm was declared by Buffalo buyer. Bangladesh investigates huge fire camp at world's largest refugee camp. China says defense budget to increase 7.2% in 2023. Fishing banned as Philippine oil spill spreads.
Those have been our stories. We thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Happy Tuesday.